Hey everyone, hope you had a great day. Today's Wednesday. We got a lot of news actually going on with Bitcoin and ASIC miners, and it's all really exciting news. So let's get into it here really quick here. Obviously, this is for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. Don't fall for scams. Spam posts get reported and deleted. Let's take a look at the news here, that what we have. But first, let's take a look at the miners and see how they did on the day, and then we'll get into it all. So here's Argo right now. Argo is up a little bit. It was up 1.87% to 109. Bitfarms was down 2.86% to 407. CleanSpark was down 404. And then Argo, we obviously have some Argo news to talk about, which I think is why the stock was up today. CleanSpark was down 404 to 713. DigiHost was down 491 to 368. DMG was down 5.41% to 56 cents. And we got Hive was down 2.75% to 212. HUT was down 1.78 to 607. Iris Energy was actually up to 85 to 1156. And Mara was down 4.68% to 2485. Mawson also provided their numbers. Just did a previous video on that, so that should be out already. And that one is at up 0.6, 499. And then Riot was actually down 6.47%, so down 1749. Bitcoin was down today as well, so that's possibly why everything was down except for a couple of the guys. Obviously, Mawson was up, excuse me, up a little bit, and Argo was up because of the news they provided. So let's take a look at the first story we have here, which is Google Cards Google Cards to store Bitcoin and crypto report. This is a report. So the company has reportedly formed a partnership with Coinbase and BitPay to enable the new functionality. So Google's digital cards may soon enable users to hold Bitcoin and spend fiat. The company has formed a partnership with Coinbase and BitPay to enable the functionality. It is still unclear when Google would start accepting Bitcoin for transactions. But if we look into it here, so crypto is something we pay a lot of attention to, said Bill Reddy, Google's president of commerce, per the report. As user demand and merchant demand evolves, we will evolve with it. According to the report, Google has formed partnerships with cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase Inc. and cryptocurrency payment processor BitPay to enable the new functionality. The executive told Bloomberg that his team is looking for additional partnership opportunities, though the company still isn't accepting Bitcoin for transactions. And that's all we have right now, but this is actually really good news here. They did say we're not a bank. We have no intention of being a bank. Reddy told Bloomberg some past efforts at times would unwittingly wade into those spaces. So this is obviously all good news here for Bitcoin. Google, obviously the maker of Android phones. They don't make all the phones, but it's run on a lot of the Samsung, Huawei, LG phones, Sony phones. The operating system is there, and so is the capability to have Google Pay on it. So that has, possibly like 1 billion some users that could possibly have that functionality. So this is why it's really huge of a news that if Google does go into it, this is, I think, going to catapult Bitcoin possibly to the mainstream where it's more ubiquitous and easy to use. So we'll have to keep an eye on this story, see how it unfolds going forward. And then we got some good news from obviously an analyst here. So Bitcoin's transitions to a risk-off asset will propel it to hit 100,000 in 2022, says Bloomberg analyst. Mike McGlone, senior commodity strategist at Bloomberg, is convinced that Bitcoin's transition to digital gold will propel it to new all-time highs in 2022. Bloomberg analyst Mike McGlone is convinced is on track to reach 100K in 2022 as it competes in transitions from a risk-on to risk-off asset. While the Fed is planning to raise interest rates to fight inflation, risk-on assets like crypto may suffer as people will likely prefer to invest in fixed income assets like bonds. While the trend may represent a short-term hurdle, McGlone said he is confident that Bitcoin will still appreciate significantly in 2022. And here's a quote from him: "Bitcoin is in a unique phase. I think of transitioning from a risk-on to risk-off global digital store of value, replacing gold and becoming global collateral. So I think that's going to be happening this year." So that's actually obviously very bullish. He said he considers the current bearish sentiment as positive sign indicating market consolidation, which is what we're seeing here. We'll take a look at Bitcoin chart here shortly. The analyst is also bullish on Ethereum, given its key role in providing the main infrastructure for decentralized finance and non-fungible tokens, NFTs. He's also convinced that USD-backed stablecoins will proliferate in 2022. However, McGlone's outlook for the broad crypto market is not as optimistic, though given the large number of speculative bets among altcoins, which is possibly why we're seeing a lot of the obviously retail investors going into some of the smaller crypto coins because they are seeing the greater returns on those possibly. Whereas Bitcoin, you might see a 2, 3, 4, 5x increase in price, where the other guys are going to see a 100x increase possibly if you get enough traction on those coins like Shiba Inu and some of the other ones out there. So that's kind of what he's talking about there. But let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick as well. On the chart here, we can see Bitcoin is in this kind of consolidation phase right now. It's at 41,910. And if we zoom in here, we can see that we've been kind of bouncing between the 41,000, I would say right around there, 41,500 and the 44,000 mark roughly. Reached above it a couple of times, but we are still in this kind of consolidation phase right now. We'll have to keep an eye on it, see how it does. There's obviously the possibility where we could fall down to 37,500 before we continue going up higher. We are going to obviously have to battle with the 20-day moving average here coming up here in a couple of days, where this is obviously going to continue to go down. And then if we do get a price increase, we're going to have that resistance there at the 20-day moving average. If we can get above it, we'll obviously possibly see better numbers going forward. And the same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum has been trading the kind of same pattern as Bitcoin. We are stuck between this 3,080 or so mark and on the upper hand around 3,380 or so. It's just kind of trading this pattern right now, going sideways with no definitive answer as far as whether it's going to go up or down right now. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, obviously, see where it goes from here. But let's get into the next story. So he's not wrong there. Next story is a big one. I think it could be a game changer here for the Bitcoin mining industry. So Intel, we talked about this yesterday in a video. Intel's Bitcoin mining Bonanza mine chip bags first big customer. So this is a continuation on that. We've actually learned that they actually have a customer that's going to be buying, and they're going to be buying quite a lot of these miners here in the next basically 3 to 5 years. They have a deal with them to buy basically 25% of their supply of these chips, which is huge. So we still don't know the numbers on it. They are going to report on that. So let's get into the story here. But this is really exciting for me. So today, Fox Business reports that crypto mining startup GRIID, which is set to go public for an estimated $3.3 billion on the New York Stock Exchange in the coming days, has signed a long-term contract with Intel for its BMZ2 mining ASICs. This means Intel will in fact compete in the hardware market for specialized ASICs for Bitcoin mining, opening up a new market that the company hasn't addressed directly in the past. So that is absolutely correct. We all know that Intel has been kind of floundering a little bit. It's lost some of its mojo. I'm hoping that this will actually help them get their mojo back and possibly make some good cash on this as well. So GRIID divulged the news via its S4 filing, which covers its plans to operate 3 industrial-scale facilities totaling a massive 48 megawatts of power. The company's filing says that it has contracted with both Bitmain and MicroBT for mining ASICs, but has also entered into a definitive supply contract with Intel to provide ASICs that we expect to fuel our growth. The initial order will supply units to be delivered in 2022, so this is actually this year, and GRIID will have access to a significant share of Intel's future production volumes. So this is very, very promising. So we'll actually have some data, hopefully, from them by the end of maybe Q3, I'm guessing. We'll have some data, obviously, from them when they presented at the conference coming up in February, which we'll talk about here as well. So a lot of good stuff is happening here. We'll see as far as how efficient they are compared to Bitmain and some of the other guys out there. Excuse me. The GRIID listing includes several other mentions of the agreement with Intel, saying on September 8th, 2021. So this is obviously 3 months old that this actually happened. So they were in the loop before anybody else was. GRIID entered into a supply agreement, the Intel supply agreement, pursuant to which GRIID may purchase Intel designed BZM2 ASICs. The Intel supply agreement is for an initial 4-year term and will automatically renew thereafter for 1 period unless either party provides at least 90 days notice prior to the end of the initial 4-year term. The Intel supply agreement provides GRIID with fixed pricing for the BZM2 ASICs for all orders placed prior to May 2023. So they got until next year, basically. So they got, well, almost a year and a half, basically. In addition to subject to certain conditions, GRIID will be entitled to purchase from Intel at least 25% of all qualified Intel-designed ASICs through approximately May 2025. We don't know how many that is. Obviously, that could be they produce 1,000 of these miners and they're going to get 250 of these, or they could produce 100,000 and get 25,000. We just don't know how many they're going to produce as far as supply goes. I think a lot of it is going to depend on obviously the hash rate and how much power they're going to draw for that. So we'll take a look at joules per terahash, see how that plays out. I think the best one right now is from Antminer, Bitmain, which is the Antminer S19 XP, which is the 140 terahash miner. It's I think like 21.5 joules per terahash or something like that. So that's the best one. If they can beat that by half of that, where they come down to 12, 13 joules per terahash, that's going to be a huge savings there. So it'll be interesting. We just don't have all the data yet, so we're waiting on that to come out, and that'll hopefully come out in February. Intel will begin delivering ASICs this year, and GRIID has a guarantee for at least 25% of Intel's ASIC supply until May of 2025, signifying that this is a long-term 4-year contract. Pricing is also locked in until May 2023. And I'm going to take a sip here. My throat is getting dry. All right, sorry about that. This confirms that Intel is servicing the crypto mining hardware market, an area where it could enjoy quick growth due to its tremendous production capacity, particularly with older nodes like the 14 nanometer that are suitable for this class of accelerator. As we covered yesterday, the primary Bitcoin ASIC manufacturers like Bitmain and MicroBT suffer from long lead times and charge prohibitively higher pricing for their chips, largely because they have to rely on third-party foundries to make the chips. Additionally, foundries like TSMC tend not to give these companies preferential status in their fabs due to the uncertainty of the demand and sporadic nature of crypto mining. Instead, the fabs prioritize longer-term steady business from bigger chips designers, which is true, right? So these guys are always put on the back burner, like Bitmain and everybody else, where they have steady contracts with Apple, Samsung, whoever else it might be, Google or whatnot, Tesla. Those are those preferred customers. They're gonna put you in line first before they put somebody like Bitmain. Bitmain's like, we're done with everything that we needed to get done for these guys. Now we have time to do something else for somebody else, and they'll do it then. And it goes on to saying here that, on the other hand, Intel controls its own supply chain and has its own production capacity. The emergence of its Bonanza mine chip gives the company a nice entry point into the lucrative crypto mining market, where its old competitors like AMD and NVIDIA and new competitors like Bitmain and MicroBT have dominated. Intel will also not limit the mining performance of its standard GPUs that are coming to market soon, giving it a dual-pronged strategy of ASIC and GPUs for blockchain crypto mining markets, which I think is very actually bullish for Intel itself. Intel will share that information about the new hardware on Wednesday, February 23rd at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time at the ISSCC conference. In addition, presentation will include a video demo of the chip. So that is actually very interesting. So I'll definitely be looking forward to that, to see how their chip stacks up to the competition. If it can do at least 33 to 50% better than the competition, that's going to be huge. If it's only 10%, 15%, well, it's still better, but it's not as good as obviously 33 or 50%. So we'll have to see how that plays out. All right, and finally, our last story is on Argo. Argo has announced that they are doing basically Argo Labs, and Argo is pleased to announce an update on Argo Labs, its in-house innovation arm established to identify opportunities within the disruptive and innovative sectors of the cryptocurrency ecosystem while supporting the decentralization of various blockchain protocols. Argo has allocated approximately 10% of the company's crypto assets in its HODL to Argo Labs. Argo Labs is primarily focused on two key areas: network participation and strategic diversification. Through the efficient deployment of the company's crypto treasury assets, network participation consists of providing infrastructure support, running nodes and validators. So this would be like for coins, not that you can mine, but ones that provide you with staking possibilities. Ethereum is obviously working towards that. There's other coins out there, but I'm just drawing blank right now that have obviously staking involved. I think Cardano is one of them as well. So are some of the other ones. So I think this is a good thing. Let's continue reading on here. Validators and staking in innovative projects. Efficient deployment of its company's crypto treasury assets include, among other things, supporting early stage projects and participating in decentralized finance, DeFi, so that's great, as well as the NFT and metaverse ecosystem, in which case in further hence of the company's general business operations, which is all great. And then I apologize if I butcher your name here. Vakisan Mahalingam, head of Argo Labs, said, "Our vision at Argo Labs is to support the company's mining efforts by engaging with the disruptive and innovative sectors of the crypto ecosystem. We are committed to growing all facets of the industry and look forward to spearheading this effort alongside my talented colleagues." And then they go on to saying they did provide a video. You guys can take a look at it if you go to their Twitter page or their Twitter. They did have a nice video there. It's like 1:30 long, I think, or something like that. It's pretty informative. It's pretty nice. I think this is actually a good idea. Mining can take you only so much, but I think being diversified will eventually be a better mix, I think, because you do have that ups and downs in Bitcoin, and you got the hash rate growing. So I think if you can diversify a little bit, I think Hive is doing the same thing. They got into the NFTs, and a couple other companies that they invested in as well. So I think this is fine if they're taking part of that and doing their due diligence on the companies and investing in them. I think it's actually a good thing for shareholders. So I'm fine with that. And then obviously we still want them to maintain their growth on their hash rates for Bitcoin mining and things like that. So, and I'm starting to lose my voice. I've been talking too long here. But very obviously good news from them. We saw the stock price go up a little bit from the news as well. Obviously the Google Cards thing, Google Pay is interesting. I think it's bullish as heck. You got the Bitcoin possibly being a risk off, going to 100,000, which is also bullish news. So we got a lot of good news here. And then obviously Intel, that has got me pumped. I really want to see what that can do going forward. We'll get some more data on that next month. We have to wait a while. Maybe something will leak out in the meantime where somebody has leaked out some information, which would be great. And then obviously Argo here doing great things. So let me know what you guys thought. Obviously, try to keep this kind of quick here. It's getting late. Sorry for the late post, but I didn't get home till late, so I didn't have the time to record it earlier. But I do appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for that. If comment down below, let me know what you guys obviously thought of all this. Love talking to you guys there as well. But if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Helps me out tremendously. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a great day. Until then, bye.